Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to the Empowered Harmonizers. Huge shout out to those of you who have recently commented and donated to the channel. Thank you so much for your interaction in the community. I do have a website in the works which I am actively working on and putting together, and I will keep you posted as soon as it is ready, so we can expand some of the tools and discussion and support for the community that we have here. It's an absolute passion for me to be able to help those people see through the fog, see through the chaotic and oftentimes broken thoughts that can occur after you have been in a relationship with someone who is emotionally manipulative, someone who has tried to control you, someone who has tried to dupe you or deceive you, someone who has engaged in pathological self-importance and an empathy impairment, meaning that they have really treated your presence as invisible. And it's very difficult to get a feeling of your presence being back in its full magnitude, in its full glory, and running on all cylinders emotionally after you've been through a relationship with a cluster B or a psychopath individual. So we're going to zoom in and focus in today on how to reset your priorities, how to begin to engage in positive, orderly direction thinking, which I call pod thinking, which gets you back on the right track. It gets you away from those disordered thoughts or disordered values or disordered beliefs which are based on self-limitation or based on just being an echo to the needs of another and always being there for them. It's caused you perhaps to make some grave errors of character or grave errors of judgment on your part to be a part of their life. You have made your sense of belonging contingent on pleasing them. You have become kind of now in a state where you cannot keep going on the way and the approach and dynamic and attitude that you have been engaged in. It's not going to make you happy. It's not sustainable. So you need to get into a sustainable mode of action and a sustainable attitude and adjustment of those priorities oftentimes to get realigned and get re-energized and become empowered. And oftentimes it's that very state which people are afraid of because they oftentimes are more afraid of success than afraid of failing. So they're afraid of being independent and trusting themselves, relying themselves, believing in themselves, and believing in the sort of divine intervention or solutions really that become open to them once they let down the defense mechanisms, meaning those sort of erroneous judgments and behaviors, choices, and emotions which have been just reinforced and rememorized in order to keep these pathological relationships going. Oftentimes people are living in a state of denial. They're living in a state of being minimized. They're living in a state of being echoish, just being the echo of a person's needs, and they're not comfortable saying no. They're not comfortable showing up in the relationship in a different attitude. They're not comfortable saying, I am doing this for myself. They're so afraid of the reprimand or the looks or the way they're going to be treated. And they're really kind of devoid of purpose and passion. And now in today's world, the information age, there are so many areas of life that you can not only indulge in your senses, which you need to resensitize yourself, but so many true things to become awake to that are occurring on the planet now, which are in need of your attention and need of your reprioritizing in your life to really get you to what's real, what's true, and what is best for all. And really waking up to that is going to help you to reprioritize things. So to help you reprioritize things, it's beginning to say, I'm going to do at least one thing a day that scares me. If you're afraid of picking up the phone or not picking up the phone, if you're afraid of sending an email or not sending an email, if you're afraid of changing your eating habits or not changing your eating habits, changing your physical activity or not changing your physical activity, these are all areas where you can see that you might have been holding yourself back because you are afraid. You're afraid that, you can't strap on your 2 shoes, or you can't go to the paint store, or you can't take your recovery date. It might not work. All these sort of inner critic that are looming large are trying to keep you stuck, keep you in the back seat rather than in the driver's seat. Because it would contradict the struggle that you have been in. It would cause you to show up to your day differently than you are right now. Oftentimes it hurts to make those changes, but those hurts are only because you are afraid of trust, or of trusting that decision and saying, I can go with this. I can go with this to help rebalance my energy, rebalance my day. I know I've been needing this for so long. I'm no longer going to procrastinate. If I wasn't living in such denial, I really would need to. And, these will help you to see the priorities of your life. In saying things that make you uncomfortable, like saying, no, I am busy now. I am working on a project for myself. No, I am busy that day. I cannot obligate to that. And then just spending time with like a self-recuperation day, a self-care day. Beginning to resensitize yourself. Going into areas of nature where you can see different colors and textures. Feeling some different things. Feeling the ground, feeling the water, feeling the plants, feeling the barks. Looking at the different smells, looking at the different animals. Being, enticing your senses. Just letting go of the denial and cleansing your system. It can be, cleansing your inner home, of all those negative thoughts. Just stop all the negative thoughts and just begin to get into a state of quiet, inner quiet and peace. People often think, well, if I'm just worrying, or thinking, or being angry, that's going to help. Oftentimes it just gets you deeper in the rut of negative emotions. You're just rehearsing and rememorizing and keeping in place those negative thought patterns, which are keeping you stuck. You're just reinforcing them. And so oftentimes you just need to also become aware of and say, stop, delete to these negative critic thoughts when they come up. Delete. So engaging in some new thought patterns oftentimes feel like they hurt, especially if it's new to you. It's kind of like going to the gym for the first time. It feels like you're lifting an emotional muscle when you're trying something new, but it gets easier and easier and easier once you do it. So when those negative thoughts come up and you're getting, devalued on your own schedule, and you say, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go on my recovery date. I'm not going to get my recovery gift. I'm not going to eat healthy. Or you feel this anger coming up. Say, delete. Just tell yourself, delete. In other words, erase those negative thoughts. Your thoughts are very much like a computer, and you can give yourself commands like that. Neuro-linguistic programming, the work of Tony Robbins, talks about doing this, sort of scrambling or canceling out that inner critic. It's very important for you to get aware of the outer and inner critic, become conscious of this, and then get control, because there's something called the emotional refractory period, where when you are in that angry state, you then look for things which can fuel your anger, or fuel your depression, or fuel your degraded sense of self. So you need to become aware of that and then stop getting stuck by that sort of reticular activating system, which is trying to find all sorts of reasons for you to fail. It's your filter for life is getting clogged. So if it's very empowering to say, okay, that is my filter super clogged. I'm going to change that out. Just like you'd see a filter when you change your filter, when getting your car oil changed, you need to unclog the filter of negative impressions and negative thoughts and negative rehearsed emotions that are stuck or just like on automatic pilot. It's time to get rid of those and clear them out and get that, and really begin to look through life through a clear filter, and almost even like rose-colored glasses. Begin to adopt a sense of healthy optimism that things are going to work out, and begin to look and pay attention to things that are working out when you prioritize your needs. You start writing things down in an appointment book. You actually have an appointment book. Hey, you actually have a schedule. You're actually valuing the fact that you need to make some changes. I'm going to go see a lawyer about this, or I'm going to go see a teacher about this. I'm going to go attend a workshop. I'm going to go to the hardware store. I'm going to go to the bike store. I'm going to go to the thrift store. I'm going to go to the doctor and get my health checked out. All these new action steps will eventually begin to coalesce and create some positive momentum and positive orderly direction in your life, so you can begin to actualize these changes and reprioritize yourself. So you can ask yourself the question, if I were to stop living in denial, a new priority for me to have would be to, and then begin to fill it in. And begin to then embrace these as they come up automatically. You don't have to overthink this. This is something that you can just trust in the flow and trust in the answer. Begin to trust those answers that you get, even though if they shocks you, because that's what we're trying to uncover, is that really hidden gem within you, which you have not seen, you have not heard from, like a long lost friend that you never knew was there. When you ask yourself these questions and do these exercises, you begin to open up like a whole new chamber of energy within yourself, and you begin to say, wow, I really do want to engage in sewing, or I want to engage in traveling, or I want to engage in woodwork, or I want to engage in yoga, or I want to engage in nutrition, or I want to study the biography of somebody, or I want to study politics. You will find the answers. Begin to reprioritize your schedule, write it down, going on the recovery dates, and don't forget the recovery gift to solidify the positive actions that you are taking. You are the most important person in this world, because you have the power to change. Focus on the positive and unite with all the positive changes that this earth, that this planet needs right now. Begin to watch some of the documentaries on deforestation, fracking, global warming, and you'll see the negative, destructive effect of narcissistic or psychopathic organizations or greed, and how it strips and depletes the earth of its resources. If we were to reprioritize that for the wellness and health of the planet, you would see that those negative practices should be outlawed. There is so much there. Please